Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Roger Stone Show. If you love live entertainment and you love the holidays, I've got the ticket for you. It begins December 20th. It's the Home for Holidays show. Mr. Christmas himself, Vinny Madunio. This guy's an exceptionally dynamic performer, singing all of your favorite Christmas hits, live performances. You can wear your ugly Christmas sweaters, and it's Mr. Christmas himself. This is a one-time opportunity this season, singing your holiday favorites. You hear him live in concert December 20th on WABC Radio. For more information and tickets, go to homefortheholidays2025.com. That's homefortheholidays2025.com. Get your tickets for the dynamic, incredible Vinny Madunio singing all your Christmas favorites live in concert at the WABC headquarters in Studio 77. Check it out. So today's New York Times says that Marco Rubio, who has really been in the forefront of the strident anti-communism, whether it is in Venezuela or whether it's in Cuba or whether it is emerging in Honduras and elsewhere in our hemisphere, that he has been a fierce warrior. And they say that he may dream of toppling the brutal Cuban regime. The Times, of course, says that as criticism. It's what I like about Marco Rubio, but he's not only Secretary of State, he also serves a secondary role as the National Security Advisor. In addition to that, he is temporarily, believe it or not, the Archivist of the United States. He has a fourth title. It's a backbreaking job. I read James A. Baker III wrote a terrific book about his time as Secretary of State, and you spend most of your time on an airplane. And he has a bureaucracy in the State Department that doesn't like a strong Secretary of State who reflects the policies of the president. I would never have thought that Marco Rubio would emerge as the feistiest and one of the most outstanding of those executing President Trump's America First policies, fighting narco-terrorism, fighting Marxism, fighting dictatorships in this hemisphere. But he has really emerged. But I like his kind of spunk. Here's Marco Rubio. He's testifying at the U.S. Senate under oath. A bunch of news cameras, fake news, want to interview him. Listen to this.
He used to talk to us, actually. That'll do.
Marco Rubio, you got to love it. He has to not only pay attention to Venezuela, clearly the pressure on Maduro is being ratcheted up. Maduro's, I think, engaging in some great PR gymnastics, claiming to have tough policies against drug trafficking when he is, of course, the biggest Marxist narco-trafficker of them all. Surrounding himself with Catholic nuns and singing "Don't Worry, Be Happy," wearing a straw hat. But I think he is petrified that he could be taken out by a Soleimani-type strike. I don't think that's likely. I think that is his paranoia, but sources tell me that. And Rubio has really been in the forefront of this, but I think Rubio has a new problem on his hands in Honduras. Less than a week before the Honduran national president, President Trump, of course, endorsed Tito Astafurra of the Nationalist Party, which he has an absolute right to do. He then also subsequently pardoned, unilaterally issued an unconditional pardon for former Honduran president elected by the Nationalist Party, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who will join us shortly to tell his own horrific story. I had written about this case and followed it very closely. When an American journalist gave me a letter from the former president to be passed on to the President of the United States before I decided to do so, I read the case complete, all of the public documents, and I could see that the three principal witnesses against Juan Orlando Hernandez were all convicted drug traffickers, all of whom had been prosecuted under his administration. And because of a law that he signed, an extradition treaty, which no Honduran president has ever been willing to sign, the very drug traffickers who he had extradited to the United States ended up as the witnesses against him, and all of them got out of jail free cards for doing so. All of them conspired with the Libra Party. But the Libra Party has had huge problems because the election has not worked out as they had expected. Libra Party nominated Rixi Moncada, who says Fidel Castro is her idol, and she was more of the same. They did something very, very clever, though, and that is they tried to throw a ringer into the race. It was very, very clear that the vice president, Salvador Nasrallah, who previously served as the vice president of the Honduras under the outgoing Marxist president Xiomar Castro of Libra, has deep ties to the party and continues to work hand in glove with the Libra Party to fund party operations. Nasrallah's public split with Libra, I think, was to set him up as what we in American politics call a ringer. He had a television presence. He was meant to siphon votes from the candidate of the Nationalist Party, Tito Asfura, but that failed. Now the leftist elements in the government are insisting that this election, this duly constituted election, not be certified. Nasrallah himself is the loudest, insisting that he's been cheated when there is no evidence of that. The final count shows him losing. Suddenly, the Libra Party, who in the past have always dominated elections in Honduras, came in a distant third, and of course are now trying to invalidate this election, which pro-U.S. anti-immigration, anti-narco trafficker Tito Asfura won. It's not incidental that the first thing after Juan Orlando Hernandez signed the extradition treaty, that his successor, Xiomar Castro, rescinded that action. So who is it that is in the pocket of the narco drug traffickers? This is an open and shut case. And the truth of the matter is that Hernandez, today will be my first conversation with him ever. We've never actually communicated directly. I was happy to have his gracious wife, the former First Lady, and his two daughters. I had his wife, Ana Garcia de Hernandez, on, as well as daughters Ana Daniela Hernandez and her daughter Isabel Hernandez, but I only spoke to them after their father was pardoned. And no, I was paid nothing for my advocacy, not a penny. And I received this document, decided to send it on to the president. I've confirmed that. But all it takes is an examination, as Matt Gaetz did in a great interview with President Hernandez. He was subjected to the same vicious lawfare as President Donald Trump in the Jack Smith investigation, in the Robert Mueller investigation, in the vile lawfare against him in the New York court system. The kind of tactics used against General Michael Flynn, the kind of tactics used against me, against Paul Manafort and others, and they're fraudulent. They're now thoroughly and completely busted. And the question is whether they will see justice. This is a very key point that Rod Martin was making, because this is a continuing seditious conspiracy. It's born in an Oval Office meeting in April of, I believe it's 2016. And it is absolutely clear Barack Obama knows that Hillary Clinton has a plan to falsely claim Russian interference to benefit Donald Trump in the election. She approves a false claim that Alpha Bank, a Russian bank, maintains a computer terminal inside the Trump Organization headquarters. Turns out to be a fabricated lie that Jake Sullivan, her national security advisor, later Joe Biden's national security, lied about. And you have this stunning act that's come to light where 51 intelligence officers, former or current, all got together knowingly admitting that as Mike Morrell, the former director of the CIA, former deputy director of the CIA, called Joe Biden an incoherent vegetable, I believe it was, go into the debate, which is gives you some idea why 51 spies lied. It was outrageous to see Hunter Biden attacking Miranda Devine of the New York Post, by far one of the very best investigative reporters in the country. She busted the Hunter Biden laptop story wide open, along with one of her colleagues over at Breitbart. She's a great lady and a great journalist, so to make fun of her looks or her talents by a piece of, well, I think you know what I think of Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's lawyers tried to sue me when I started to comment on his case, insisting that I preserve all my documents pertaining to Hunter Biden, which would be none whatsoever other than what I read in the New York Post and the and Breitbart Online and other places. Famously, you'll remember that X, then known as Twitter, banned the New York Post from reporting that Hunter Biden's laptop contents were real. That shows you how far we've come under Elon Musk, where this information is not banned today. It's still, with its faults, X, formerly known as Twitter, is still the leading free speech app in the country. I say that not because I'm paid to say it, but because it's true. Elon Musk bought this company, and then he very forcefully handed over the evidence that the U.S. government intelligence agencies worked hand in glove with the techies at Twitter to silence us, to cancel us, to limit us in our reach, to censor us in violation of the U.S. Constitution. So it is amazing that we've gotten to this point. Donald Trump is right about the economy. He knows that ultimately the things he's put in place are going to bring us a strong economy. And those who keep whining about the 2026 elections, what he calls panicking, they may be whistling another tune. I'm Roger Stone. This is The Roger Stone Show, and we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, the Trump administration has a fox in the henhouse. I think the president and his aides must remain on guard against subversive forces that are looking to undermine the president's agenda from within. Many of them are burrowed deep into federal bureaucracy, some of them in less high-profile jobs where they hope they can slither their way without public recognition. One of these examples, shocking, is the SEC. I believe he is the director of enforcement, the number 2 position at the SEC, Sam Walden. Walden is a multi-time Biden-Harris donor, even donating to Kamala Harris just 2 days before the election day of 2024. Despite his open political advocacy for Democrats, he still masquerades as a neutral enforcer who stands up for the rule of law. But he was one of the key engineers of Operation Choke Point 2.0, policies that tried to treat cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the alternative monetary system that has flourished in the world and under Donald Trump, claiming that certain elements that they were selling were securities, charging people for lacking a license to sell securities. Walden himself was one of the key architects of the Biden-era assault by then chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, against the entire crypto industry. Was under Walden's enforcement regime. Gensler initiated the policy to debank crypto coin entrepreneurs and treat them as if they were selling drugs or weapons. President Trump, of course, has reversed these policies and talked about the important role that the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin will play in the world's economic future as well as the country's economic future. But this is really extraordinary to learn that someone who was responsible for filing most of the most egregious lawsuits against crypto entrepreneurs, some of the most outrageous, heavy-handed efforts to destroy crypto, is in the number 2 position in the Trump administration's SEC. And how this has happened, we don't know. But it's very easy to go online and look at his contributing pattern. It is extraordinarily clear that this person is a vicious partisan, and their role in Arctic Frost alone is problematic. Arctic Frost is the most extra-constitutional, illegal, politically and legally unbelievable operation by the government, using government authority and power to violate the constitutional rights of people like Donald Trump and myself. The idea that you would compile a list of people, just randomly, conservatives, Trump supporters, Republican and conservative organizations, that you would surveil all of them without probable cause, that you would go out of your way to try to frame them for crimes, is beyond belief. And the underlying premise of Mueller's case, of Smith's cases, are absurd. Alternative electors are not prohibited by law. They have reached American history, forming an alternative elector slate, while there's ongoing litigation regarding the outcome of any given state election, saved Hawaii for John Kennedy in 1960, and is not in itself a crime. But spying on U.S. senators is unacceptable. That's very clear. There's growing evidence that Gina Haspel at the CIA spied on a House committee that was investigating what the CIA knew about the alleged Russian collusion, which she knew was fabricated but did nothing to stop and tell the man who appointed her. Gina Haspel, by the way, previously John Brennan's top operative in London. I don't know who sold this to the president in his first term, but it was an error. We'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
On November 30th, Honduras held a presidential election. 2 days before that, President Donald Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon to former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez. That's because the president examined the case against Hernandez, as I did, and saw that he was lynched using the same kind of tactics that Jack Smith and Robert Mueller tried to use on Donald Trump, and set up on fabricated charges of drug trafficking, when in fact he was the president of Honduras who signed an extradition treaty for drug traffickers. And the very drug traffickers that he agreed to extradite to the United States ended up as the principal witnesses against him. All of them convicted drug traffickers, all of whom got a get-out-of-jail-free card. This was a politically motivated lynching with a political motivation to stop the Nationalist Party and to extend the narco-Marxist regime of Xiomara Castro, who admits that she admires Fidel Castro, and they have now, it appears to me, lost this election. But first, I want to say this is the first time that President Hernandez and I have ever spoken. We've never communicated directly. I became aware of his case and the dynamics of Honduran politics. I wrote about them extensively. I reached the conclusion that he had been framed in a flimsy case against him for political reasons. I advocated publicly and privately for his pardon, and I thank God that he has listened and President Trump has done the right thing. A man unjustly sentenced to a 45-year sentence for crimes he did not commit. President Hernandez, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Roger Stone. Thank you for having me. If you allow me to thank publicly to the Lord God that helped me to overcome this terrible situation. But also, I want to thank President Trump, who take the courage to correct this great injustice. And it was, as you know, he granted me a full and unconditional pardon. Of course, my family, my friends, so many people in Honduras and in other countries praying for almost 4 years, asking for this. But especially now that I am talking to you for the first time, I want to thank you, because you took the time to investigate, you learned about my case, and you did a very important job that anybody who could speak about something like my case should have done in order to know what really happened. So I really appreciate the way you handled this, because you did a research, you investigate all your team, and you know the situation in detail. And whoever knows my case in detail, they really know that I was wrongfully convicted and that I was the one who at that time in Honduras made the decision to confront the narco traffickers, because nobody wanted to did it, because they felt that they had been killing so many people who had tried, and also they remember what happened in Colombia, the narco terrorism at that time when they're trying to extradite Pablo Escobar and the other narcos. And at one point I told somebody in Congress, when I was a Speaker of Congress in Honduras, knowing that 8 out of 10 cases of violence in Honduras are related to drug trafficking, if we don't do something, it's like there is no point of being here in Congress. At that time, Mr. Stone, Honduras was the country with the highest murder rate in the planet. And I am the one of those people, if I know something, I cannot look the other way, because if I look the other way, it's because I made the decision of not doing anything. So I confronted this. And almost a century, we didn't have any extradition at all between the United States and Honduras. I lead the process to amend our constitution, to create other very important legal instruments and policies to fight these criminals. And at the end, the Biden administration, the deep state, framed me. And they weaponized the justice system to put me in jail, and in order to let the bad guys free. But also, they did it because they wanted the political allies, the very radical left in Honduras, to become empowered. Now that a lot of information is coming out, there are videos, there are recordings, documents linking the radical left party, who already lost the election in Honduras last Sunday. They were really linked. They had that evidence since 2013, and the DOJ didn't use it. And my question is why? And possibly the answer is because they were protecting them, because they want the radical left to become in power. And in order to do that, they have to destroy my image, attack my party and the institution in Honduras, in order to the radical left to become in power. But now, the public in Honduras, the citizens, they overwhelmingly rejected that failed ideology of the radical left, and they are losing very bad. But anyway, thank you for having me.
It is really amazing. At your trial, a U.S. government representative gave false testimony claiming that cocaine trafficking to the United States had increased drastically under your administration, when in fact that was entirely false, that you signed numerous cooperative agreements with the United States, including, as you point out, for the first time ever, an extradition treaty to crack down on. President Trump publicly praised you for doing that. The case against you is largely based on conjecture, but more importantly, the testimony of two murderous cartel leaders who had an axe to grind against you because your administration prosecuted them and extradited them. These, both of them, were extradited to the United States in 2004 under the agreement that you signed. Both of these men are hardened criminals, murderers. They played the DEA, I think, masterfully, but it takes two to tango, and the Biden Justice Department was in the same mode they were in their case against me. And the differences here are really extraordinary. James Comey and I are charged with the exact same crime, yet he has no 6 a.m. raid. The judge puts no gag on him. He is allowed to argue, as I wasn't, that he was politically targeted, that this was selective prosecution. You, sir, were absolutely framed. The hard left, the narrative is driving them crazy. Trump pardons a drug trafficker, the Esquire magazine. None of these people have examined the case against you. They need to read the case file, and they will see that you were a target. I want to talk about the most recent election. You made a very good point, which is that Libra has run last, posting, I think, a 19% finish, embarrassing for the party in power. And former Vice President Salvador Nasralla, who I believe was planted in this race to try to siphon votes from Tito Asfura. Certainly appears that way to me. He now joins the Marxists and try to void what I think was a legitimate election that was won by Tito Asfura. What say you, sir?
Well, the information that I have is that all the documents of each polling session that my party already have and the other parties all indicate that Tito Asfura is the one who win the election. Right now, they are starting the process of verifying a few documents of some polling stations that they have to review, but all indicate that the winner clearly is Tito Asfura. But what the people in Honduras have realized from, let's say, 3-4 days ago until now, is that Nasralla and Mel Zelaya from the Libre Party, they are talking again and trying to get together in order to overturn the election. But everybody have seen the election. We have a lot of observers from international observers, Honduran observers, and the Honduran people are fed up. And even the army, I believe that they already said the process is doing well. We have to finish it, and we have to respect what is the result. And at this point, civil society organization, private sectors, churches, everybody is saying, let's finish this, and we cannot allow any wrongdoing because the process has to finish as it is. So I feel really confident that the result is going to be positive for the National Party at the three levels: presidential level, the mayoral elections too, and Congress. But of course, the left, the radical left, they have a playbook.
Yes, they certainly.
They even said before every election that if they don't win, it's because it was rigged. There is a foul.
Yeah,
so
it was rigged.
You know what it is.
This is their playbook. We're talking to former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, a man who's just told you that he was sustained by his faith in God, and he fervently prayed that he would be delivered from these horrific prisons where he was framed. And anyone who will look at his case will see that. What's really amazing is that when I tried to obtain through Freedom of Information Acts the publicly available documents regarding the plea deal done with the true drug traffickers who testified against him, those documents the government won't hand over. This was a fraudulent conviction of an honest man. I was very honored to have the former First Lady of Honduras, Ana Garcia de Hernandez, and their daughters, Ana Daniela Hernandez and Isabella Hernandez, on with me. But we again only communicated after this great act of mercy and justice by Donald Trump. So it is. We are in a historic time. Honduras is a prize to the narco traffickers. It would join Venezuela and Cuba as orbits for them, and of course, they have the willing, complicit assistance of the Chinese. So I'm glad to see that Marco Rubio's standing up to this threat. It remains to be seen whether the legitimate election in Honduras will be honored or whether there is a Marxist coup d'etat in our backyard, something that Marco Rubio and President Trump would have to deal with as they are dealing with Venezuela, as they must deal with Cuba. In the meantime, it's my great honor to have with us former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, a man who was unjustly sent to hell, but through prayer and reason is able to join us today. And anyone who wants to examine the case for pardoning him, I have written extensively about it. The evidence was manipulated here in a Jack Smith, Jack Mueller judicial, I should say, prosecutorial overreach and politically motivated frame job that is very flimsy indeed. So I have no qualms about being an advocate for this pardon, and I'm honored that you would join us today. You're listening to The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Networks, and we'll be right back with the former president of Honduras on the other side.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back with former President of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez. During the Biden-Harris administration's campaign of retribution against President Trump and his allies, they zeroed in on Hernandez and curried favor with the far-left Libre Party. The Libre Party was led by Xiomara Castro, part of the infamous Zelaya family with deep ties to both Cuba and Venezuelan communists, including Maduro. But those ties did not faze the Biden Department, and President Hernandez was framed in a vicious assault. They filed their indictment of him on January 27th, one day after Hernandez left office, and as Vice President Kamala Harris traveled to Honduras to celebrate the inauguration of narco-Marxist Xiomara Castro to put the Biden administration seal of approval on this leftist regime. So I'm going to ask the former president, Mr. President, take off your hat as a statesman, take off your hat as a president, put on your hat as a politician, and answer this. The elections were held on Sunday, November 30th, on Friday, to the surprise of everybody, including yours truly. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to announce hours after he'd already endorsed Tito Asfura that he was going to grant you a free and unconditional pardon. And I know that moment of relief, but here's my question. Did the fact that dominated the news in Honduras for the closing days of the election, did this benefit the nationalists at the end, who won a very narrow but significant victory?
It did. Indeed, that's what it is. The thing is this, in Central America, and there has been a lot of influence from the Venezuelan regime, and but people was thought that maybe something were true or were not true. For example, all the ordeal that the Venezuelan people have been living for more than a decade under the regime of Maduro. But when President Trump said it clearly that these guys were, put it in simple words, the bad guys, a failed ideology, the radical left. So people started to pay attention. But also when he said that the former vice president could be also related with them, it was another hit, a very important one. And of course, when he talked about Asfoura, that President Trump said, we are going to work with Asfoura very closely, and I am pardoning President Juan Orlando. My party received like an energizing push.
Of course, it is a validation that you were framed. It's exoneration. The president looked at your case and he made a judgment that you had been politically lynched. Your name had been destroyed. You had been sent to prison for 45 years, separated from your beautiful family. It is true, as my colleague Matt Gaetz pointed out, that the evidence against your brother is stronger than the evidence they presented against you, which was frankly very flimsy. But there was no evidence that you participated in any illegal activity with your brother or anyone else, and you had asked the authorities in Honduras to investigate your brother during your time as president to be certain that you had no conflicts. But of course, that won't be written in Esquire magazine or any of the other liberal spots. So I want to send my heartfelt thanks for your faith in God, your faith in President Donald Trump, your commitment to stop the Marxist narco-drug traffickers. I know what it is to have your name dragged through the mud when you've done nothing wrong. I know what it is to face a vicious, all-powerful federal judiciary with unlimited resources and leftist activist judges in their pocket. But you have transcended that, and you go on to fight for the freedom of the Honduran people, because the fight never ends. I want to thank President Juan Orlando Hernandez. My friend, God bless you and Godspeed.
God bless you, and thank you very much.
There you have it, folks. It's a narrative the left doesn't like, but this man was lynched. If anyone will examine his conviction and those who testified against him, these are the very people he prosecuted. They got out of jail. This is what we call a fugazi. That's it for us today on The Roger Stone Show. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, God bless you and a Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. A ride.